Hey everyone, welcome back again. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Iconist podcast where we talk comics and everything geekdom and we fan cast it. And before we're going to get right into the show today, but as you see in the title, the icon is Manhunter.
Manhunters.
Right. Manhunters. We'll explain why. Before we start the show, as always, I'm one of your hosts, Barry Carter, go by Barry3D. See the link down below to find me at Barry3D.com. And always on my side is my cousin, the man, the myth, the legend, the man that makes the tables rock all the way to you just want sleep like Sunday morning, like Chaos says. Bring it back. Who am I talking about? The one and only
DJ Rod C. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. We're going to have some fun today. All right. What do we have for them? What? Oh, no, sorry. I'm always jumping in. Look, we still got other people we got to say hi and give it a little shout out to. Let me, I'm just getting myself all ready. I mean, because I got to do that next part. So I'm just getting myself ready.
Right,
you keep going. You keep going. I'll jump right in. I'll jump in when the right time. Let's go.
Right, we got to do our shout outs. And he knows. Okay, we said we do it Manhunter. Right? We're going to touch really on the Paul Kirk Manhunter. And we're going to get into other aspects of them, but before we got to do a round table. So always check out your other podcasts. We've talked about them before here on the show. Very simple. We support the books, right? Wow Comics out in Kitchener, Check Swings out in Montreal. They're behind the show and they're behind us. And then the one that makes us look so pretty, the man, the other lit man, the myth, the legend, the one that keeps us looking pretty. Rod, who am I talking about?
J. Bird Digital.
J. Bird Digital Arts.
Let's go.
Yo. If you need posters, templates, or any kind of media done for any event you have coming up or a project that you're working on, reach out to J. Bird Digital Arts. You'll see his link at the end of the show. And, he's done this for our show. He's done it for the other show I'm on, which is a Touch of Grey Matter. We are back for season 3. Wow. And, we're getting out the ring rust, as we like to say. We're on year 2 of the Iconist podcast. Man, love it. Get to work with my cousin all the time, best friend, and out to the masses, and love hearing back from everybody. So we've heard from some people before. We have a lot more planned up. And as I said, I know we're trying to diversify a little bit, as I said before. And yeah, so right now we're on a little bit of a DC kick. We're going to get back to our Marvel stuff. We're going to get back to our cartoons and movies and all that. It's just we want to make it fair because there's enough to go around and there's no favoritism here.
Even balance.
Woo. That brings us to our project today. We are going to talk about, we are going to fan cast it, we're going to discuss it, and hopefully you all enjoy it. And remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the channel be a secret. If you want to do a one-time tip, we have a coffee page, and we have exclusive only videos up on Patreon. Sign up. We'll shout out your names. So we're pushing all this because we like what we do. We hope you like what we do, and we just want to keep on growing.
Yes.
It's all about movement forward, right? Cool beans. On that note, as I said, we are talking about Paul Kirk, Manhunter. This character goes back a ways, right? His first appearance, Paul Kirk Manhunter, first appearance was in Adventure Comics number 58 back in January of 1941.
That was a long time ago.
Damn, I love history. Comic book history, even some real history. I know when we got into Canadian history, some of it was very interesting, and some of it, when the teachers kind of explained it to us, it's like, so we did a lot of walking, like Lord of the Rings, right? We just walked from one side to the other side, carrying canoes over our head, just to say, okay, we got the beaver pelts, let's go.
Oh, the beaver pelts, yes.
We got the beaver pelts, let's go. So that's what it is. Adventure Comics 1950 and number 58 in 1941. So this predates DC Comics. But it's been touched by the greatness. And when I say greatness, this character was one of these characters was at the time didn't seem as a big character, was created by Jack Kirby.
Let's do it. Mr. JK.
Sorry.
Let's go.
Yeah. Sorry. I gotta put some respect on his name. Jack the King Kirby.
Let's do it.
All right. Right. And why? And for any new listeners, if you wonder why people say his name with such reverence, it's simply because of this. Without Jack Kirby, we would not have the majority of the Marvel universe.
Definitely.
We wouldn't have the majority, of the DC universe, and a lot of independent stuff. And even after he left those two big houses, he still did a lot of stuff independently up to when he passed away in his, late 80s. He was still drawing and putting out work. If you see Captain Victory, so he was still going. Personal projects and all that. We've talked about what before. Thunder the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
He was behind Thunder the Barbarian by laying out the groundwork for him. If you see any art of Thundar, especially where he's got a sun sword and he's got his hand coming forward, and you're like, that looks like Jack Kirby. It's Jack Kirby. They just overdid his lines, but that was Jack Kirby. So Jack the King Kirby behind a lot of stuff.
Foundation.
Now, in the famous words of one of our past guests, Larry Smith, when we were talking about the Blue Beetle, Larry Smith said a line that sticks to me up to now. He says, Marvel creates, DC appropriates. This is so true in this instance where Paul Kirk was Manhunter in Adventure Comics, and then DC bought Adventure Comics and got those characters. Right? When Paul Kirk was showing up, he was a plain clothes. He didn't have the costume. He was a plain clothes guy running around, and he came from money. Right? He was a hunter. He kind of got disillusioned from being a big game hunter, didn't have the same thrill for him anymore. Right. So it's almost, to certain degrees, I guess crisscrossing with Kraven the Hunter. Good. Yep. Right? Origin-wise. And he had a friend who was a detective on the police force, and he goes, hey, man, if you're so done with, you don't get the same thrill from chasing big game anymore, you should use your manhunting skills, because your tracking abilities is phenomenal. Right. That you should use those to hunt down criminals. Criminal minds. Him and Han, and I don't know, and I'll see, and next thing you know, that person who was a part of the sect of the Manhunters, who was trying to almost bring him in at the time, he said, yeah, I guess I can do it, and he made himself a classic costume, but then that detective ended up dying. And of course, every hero starts with tragedy. That was his friend, Justice. So up until then, he was doing Paul Kirk plain clothes, just tracking people down, bringing them into justice. That's how he's dealing with him. When his friend died, who was on the police force, he turned around and was like, Justice, and went out to bring them down. And he put on just a very plain costume. Now, the costume was all red costume. He gave himself like a silver face, right? He had on blue gloves, blue boots, a blue belt. That's it. Yeah. And the costume was head to toe, all red except for the silver face, blue gloves, blue belt. No weapons. He didn't use any weapons. He just tracked down people, and it was give him the old fisticuffs. Fisticuffs. Give it the kind of similarity to the Phantom, the purple. Yep. It had a similar type of trademark right there at that point. Yes. So, yeah. Yes, absolutely. That good call out on that one. So that's where he came back. So, Paul Kirk was originally, so he's depicted as a non-costume independent investigator. That's what he kind of went into, and solving police crimes. And that was in the 40s throughout his series titled, and his series was just called Paul Kirk / Manhunter. That's it. Right. He didn't use the Manhunter name. It was just Paul Kirk Manhunter. He didn't just go by Manhunter as an alias. That was his full name. And that ran from Adventure Comics from issue number 58 up to number 72. So as I said, January of 1941 to March of 1942 is when his comic ran for this character. Right. And then beginning in Adventure Comics number 73, Joel Simonson and Jack Kirby established a new Manhunter. So this is where it kind of changes, and this is where a lot of stuff comes in. So I say Jack Kirby's behind it. Jack Kirby saw what was done, turned around and said, "Oh, we're going to change him up a little bit," and called him what was the name here? I have it written down. Rick Nelson. Rick Nelson. Good, strong name. And I'm not making fun of it. I'm just having fun with it. Two different things. Right? He returns to the big game and goes to Empire City. So it really ran that way. And then it even fell into Quality Comics, had to introduce a costume hero called, Manhunter in Police Comics number 8 in March 1942. So, the Manhunter name was, then Donald Dan Richards was named the Manhunter. So it had a lot of history before that. And it ties in to the Green Lantern Corps.
How? How is that? Please explain.
Well, I will. Thank you for opening the door, Rod. Thank you. So how DC really came across, and we're going with the Paul Kirk version, is Paul Kirk, this original Manhunter, that costume, disillusioned, went through the whole thing, was fighting crime, and he kind of walked away from it. He's like, hey, I've moved back now to Africa just to be a big game hunter. I'm not really wanting to be the superhero tracking people down anymore. I've kind of gotten this out of his system.
Yeah.
He's, kind of done with society a little bit. He just wants to, it's his retirement. Bottom line, that's what he wants to do. So while he's out hunting, he sees a lion and he has his gun. Of course, he's a big game hunter, right? So picture, the safari outfit that they would wear back then, right? The puffy pants is, picture almost Sean Connery's character from, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Dressed almost similar to that way. He's got the big long rifle. He's got the pants, the jacket. Okay, fine. He gets out there. He sees a lion. He goes to shoot the lion, but on purpose, he misses because the hunt is what the thrill is for him. It's not the kill. Two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So he would get there, pull the trigger, missed on purpose. Absolutely. It runs off. And he's like, okay, cool. Still got my skills. I'm not trying to take any lives because there's nothing behind it. But the shot inadvertently startled a bull elephant. If you want to see what a bull elephant is, everyone, you have Google. It's a huge, angry animal at times. I mean, it startled it, right? So what's it going to do? Charge! Not a regular elephant, a bull elephant.
Yep.
Yeah, one step down from Mastodon. Okay, so, what happens when a man with no powers fights an elephant?
Does he win or does he lose? What's the chance?
There's no winning when it comes to a regular elephant. And if it's a bull elephant, it's not a fight. You're a flea and you just got
flicked. How can you run? I'm about to say, you're a flea, you got flicked. How run can you fly? Run. How fast can you flee out of there?
Let's see. A bull elephant, once again, you can Google it, everyone. I don't know how fast they run, but let me tell you something. They run faster than someone on 2 legs. If you got 4 legs, you're doing 4 times the speed, and you bring in 4 times the force and power. He got trampled.
He didn't make it. He
didn't make it. It wasn't looking good for the home team. Once again, what we say earlier in this podcast, every hero starts with tragedy. Tragedy! Right. So, that being said, how can we start a show with the main character is dead? No one ever dies in comics. Not even Barry Allen.
Also true.
He was one that gone the longest, and they finally brought him back, right? When I say finally, I mean a couple of years ago, of course, right? But yeah, no one fully dies in comic books. And land in comic books, even to the point where Dick Grayson said in one of the issues, like someone's like, hey, Batman's dead, aren't you worried? And Dick Grayson's reaction as Nightwing turned around is like, no, he'll be back. He's like, I've noticed something. We really don't die, do we?
It's not within our contract, man. We gotta stay alive. Stay alive.
Right? If Dick Grayson as Nightwing is turning around and saying in the DC universe, I think he was talking to Superman, it's like, Batman's dead, aren't you worried about him being dead? No, we never really die. He goes, think of it. Who died and came back? He's like, you came back. And then Dick Grayson walks away.
And this is Bruce. He's stubborn. So, right there. Bruce will be back. Don't worry. Batman will still live.
He'll be back. And there's a reason why we're mentioning Batman in this episode. So, Paul Kirk turns around, ends up getting trampled by a bull elephant. The organization, this known as a council, was an organization by 10 scientists at the time. And they realized that mankind pretty much can kill ourselves. We made the atomic bomb. Nuclear weapons are there. They got together as 10 scientists from around the world, very brilliant scientists, started this group called the Council and said to themselves, we got to find a way to help out mankind. The 10 of us, regardless of borders, have to get together and we got to stop mankind from destroying itself. What can we do? So they came in with very noble ideals to deal with this whole situation. And they were going to approach Paul Kirk because they said, well, we need, even though we are a think tank, we need to have guards and enforcers to help and field operatives to carry out some of these things that need to be done, or people that we have to, interact with to protect ourselves and, our field agent. And they were planning on reporting Paul Kirk. And then next thing you know, one guy turns around and busts about Paul.
You didn't know what happened?
Funny story.
And him. No, funny story. No. So
yeah.
What happened was.
Yeah, exactly. So, excuse me, you guys are smart scientists. Like, yeah, we are. Can I ask you a scientific question? Sure. Go ahead, minion. What happens if a man wants to fight a bull elephant? Okay, this is a knock-knock joke. The elephant always wins. Yeah, so let's take that scenario and put in Paul.
You were asking about Paul. Well, you remember Paul? Yeah. So he was out. All we just got to report. Mr. Kirk didn't make it. What do you mean, Mr. Kirk didn't make it? Can we have an interview with him next week? Yeah, like we were saying, we wanted to find Kurt. We found Kurt. It wasn't looking good. It wasn't looking good at all.
We got up the Kirk when the bull elephant stopped running, and we got him off the bottom of his foot.
Right. This is what we scraped. This is what we found.
Right.
Found him. Yeah.
So the council turns around and it's like, well, he was the best candidate. He's got the tracking skills. He already has this Manhunter mindset. He was perfect for us. What's death? What's death got to do with it? Right? Just like, Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? What's got to do with it? What's death got to do with his passing? So we take him down to our laboratories, put him in a test tube, and watch all the glory. We bring him back after a few years. Then we turn around and say, look here, Paul, have no fears. Yeah, I know I can't sing, but that's how y'all got it today. Paul Kirk was, they found his body, brought it back to their headquarters, put him in the lab, worked on him, and brought him back. And he woke up almost like a decade or, later, like 9 years have passed or something like that at this point from the time he died to the time they brought him back. And when they brought him back, they pulled this whole, Steve Austin, we can make him better. Yep. They gave him, him like nanobots inside of his body to bring him back. So they gave him a healing factor. They made him, like they said, almost near indestructible, so to speak, that he can't just die from, regular conventional weapons. In a sense, like he gets shot by a machine gun at one point and he heals and gets back up. Oh, so let's see here. We have a secret society that brought back a man who died years before. Healing factor, enhanced strength and senses, and gave him a very colorful costume. So that costume was supposed to represent the rank he was supposed to be, and he was supposed to be their top enforcer. So he's already a good hand-to-hand combatant. He's got the tracking skills. He's got the weapon skills. And when they brought him back, they had him trained by a ninja master. Wow. Okay. Let's be wrapping up. So first of all, here's my similarities I'm seeing here. You bring back a guy that's been out of time for like 9 years. That to me is Captain America feels. Right? Captain America block of ice. This guy was dead. Both came out. Both soldiers or fighters, I should say, in that aspect. Then you enhanced him and gave him a healing factor. Looking at you, Department H. Looking at you. You don't know Department H? Read your Wolverine. Right? We can make him better. This is a whole scenario right there. And then said, you're going to lead our force. And they explained to him what was going on. And he's like, I'm down. Thank you for bringing me back. And you trained me to be a ninja?
All right.
Ninja. That's right. That's Daredevil right there. And Daredevil and Stick. Trained him to be a ninja.
Nice.
Okay. You see, there's a lot. And he hasn't done nothing yet. All he's done is been a big game hunter, did what he had to do, quit, die, brought back to life, and here he is. Boom. We haven't even gotten to the rest of the story yet. And that there is a lot of meat on that bone.
Facts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, as we move on to the second rendition of Paul Kirk. So the first one is him plain clothes, right? Adventure Comics. Got it.
Golden Age.
Golden Age, right? And then, you know, he comes back again. Yeah, you know, and Walter Simonson gets his hands on this character. And that's where me as a young man jumped onto this character because I liked the costume was cool. I mean, it was a very flamboyant looking costume, right? And you know, so the costume was like baseline, it's all red up to the elbows where the sleeves are wide open. He's got on like a white exposed vest. He's got two shuriken, one on each side. He's got these kind of boots that are white with blue on top of it that hold in what you call a Bundy blade. So it's a long blade, but it's held like in a fist kind of thing as a point. He's got a gun on his hip, which has an extension in his outfit too. So, you know, his depth fit is like bulletproof. He's got an extended, you know, rifle, pistol. So you turn the gun into like a rifle almost kind of thing. Right. Mask the whole 9 yards. This is Manhunter. Wow. And, you know, and it was always played Manhunter 1 and Manhunter 2, even though they used the same name, Paul Kirk. So we're going to go with Manhunter 2, Paul Kirk. And that's, you know, and you see that, as a Walt, right? Walt Simonson, or Simonson, or Simonson. There we go. Walt Simonson. I mean, we all know I'm bad with names. Did the art for this book, and it gave it an international spy kind of thriller. His art conveyed that very well. It was, you know, a small little series, and it ran as just really at first backup issues in some of the Batman Adventure Comics.
Yeah. Detective Comics. Yep.
Detective Comics. Thank you very much. But they put it all together at one point, and I was like, wicked. It was like I couldn't get enough of this, you know, 70s revival of the character. It was beautiful. Like, I mean, it was Archie Goodwin, you know, had the idea for the backup story in Detective Comics, and they got together, and, you know, it was an 8-page short story in the backup of Detective Comics, and in issue number 437, right? So 437, I thought it was, and that's where I came across it. And I'm like, you know, reading Batman at the time, I'm like, okay, cool. And Batman, the storylines were good. You're in there, and then you get these backup issues. So this is outside of DC Showcase. This would have been phenomenal if DC Showcase would have given them the full thing. But this is how these introduce new characters. Like, oh, we'll give you an 8-page backup story. All right, cool. So I'm getting like 2 stories for the price of one, and this one worked for me. I'm like, I need to know more about this character. Right? What was your experiences? You know, I know you read the book there a little bit, Rod, and then gone. What was your take on it?
He's an adventurous. He's an adventurous type of guy. Definitely, you can see his parallel from his as they gave us the base that he was a hunter. You know, the gamesman in that particular sense.
Yeah,
mentioning about him fighting crime and everything like that. So definitely, that was all the basis, like Barry was saying, to him. So you can see it now. He is that type of individual that's just like in the dark of the night, you know, only the shadow knows what's in the hearts of men type of things.
Right.
He's just coming on in his bright red like Daredevil. So it's like, okay, again, simulation, just getting similar to other characters. People won't say who and what, but
no mercy.
No mercy. Listen, he basically used his skill to get in to do what he had to do. Finally, when we were finding out that, you know, he got revived, he became like a clone. He basically, you know, there were clones of him. They generated his life and, you know, brought him back, whatever.
Yes,
you'll read
right.
it and you'll see that there were clones of him as well. So this is where Barry was saying that he was now the leader of the group, or the Manhunters, in that sense. And that's why I said Manhunters plural, because there were multiple of them later on. You'll see it, you know, as I mentioned now. But his whole arc of being that type of daredevil, type of action type of guy, he was just basically all action. You know what?
Yeah.
You can see the similarities in the sense that this is the, you know, his outfit and everything like that have that type of what you call it, like the sailor type of boots, like Captain America, like the
Yes.
early rendition of Captain America. So you can see that they're basically parallel. Like this guy is all action. He's coming in and he just like Barry said, fisticuff. He had his striking ninja stars in that sense. He had a couple other two items, whatever the case to be, but he was all hands on. He did not rely on any type of pistols or guns or anything artillery that way. He was more, I'm within reach. I'm taking you out. I feel sorry for you. Hope you got your affairs in order. It's in the words of the thing. It's clobbering time.
It's clobbering time.
That's
yes.
what it is. So that's what I took from him. So yeah, he was. He's a good character, and pointing out. Because I read a couple of issues and everything like that, and because it came at the back end of Batman, Detective Comics. He has that type of feel that he would maybe be able to handle himself and hold himself against the Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But he might just give Dark Knight just a little like, ooh, you're making me sweat. But there's not a lot of people who make the man sweat. So like saying, oh, you might do some good. You might say, oh, you're making me work. Oh, I haven't used
this ain't an easy takedown.
It's an easy takedown. I haven't used this skill in page 47 in a long time. Hold a second. Oh yeah, I remember how to do this. Oh, with the sweat. But it's a good boy.
Page
I like it. We're gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him. But I'm not. I don't kill. Sorry, Batman don't kill. I'm gonna take him down. But he makes me work. I like it. You gonna keep him. Yeah. That kind of scenario. Yeah. Sorry, I went off track. But I'll track back. Was saying that Manhunter. He is a very serious character that is very, he's very athletic. He is good. He's strong. Yeah. Okay, I'll stop right there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. See, and this is to show you how it was. So back when this book was going, so back in 1973, the council turns around and says, "We want you to kill someone from Interpol, one of the higher up agents. People at Interpol because they're starting to look more into the council. But at the same time, the council was also doubting his loyalty. Like they're saying that times he asked a lot of questions, and they're seeing from his character that even though they brought him back and they've tried somewhat brainwashing parts of him, as you said, Rod, they turned around, they made clones. Now the clones, he didn't know the clones were of him. He just saw all these men dressed the exact same way as him, but all in black. And they wore full out face mask. Mm-hmm. Right? So the council turns around and says, yeah, we have a mission for you. And he's like, oh, finally, after all these years, you guys have been training me. You did all this stuff for me. All right. What's your mission? It's like, we need you to go here and assassinate this person. Okay. Right? He's working with his ninja master who he kind of drops little hints of be your own man. Don't listen to the council 100%. So this is where the door starts opening that maybe the council's not as genuine as they portray themselves to be. So when Kirk goes on that first mission to kill the person there, the agent from Interpol, he gets there and he realizes like, I can't do this. I'm not a cold-blooded killer. I've never been. I owe them a lot, but I just can't just kill a man for no reason. I don't have no investment against this. So he turns around and he says, hey, I was sent to kill you. And the guy's like, wait a minute. They go, no. I'm not going to kill you, but I want to help you fake your death. So this way, no one goes hunting for you again. Just go. Fair enough. This organization is worldwide, and then all of a sudden the other agents from the council show up dressed, for say it's a purpose, we'll say the clones. But at this point, Kirk didn't know they're the clones. So Kirk ends up fighting them. He kills one of them in self-defense, and then he pulls off, or he sees their face, and he's like, wait a minute, that's me. Not only did the council bring me back, thank you, they turned around and made clones of me. No, thank you. You've taken away my identity. And now I'm truly starting to see the true colors of what's going on. So Paul at this point says, rebellion! And starts fighting the council. Their so-called greatest agent became their greatest enemy. Flip the switch. You know what I mean? Exactly. He went from, supposedly supposed to be a heel, but oh my God, in wrestling terms, he was really a babyface all along.
Mm.
Mm, mm. So he starts fighting them, and he's fighting clones of himself, and he doesn't want clones of himself running around. So he has no problem killing off a clone because he doesn't see them as real people. And two, they're just copies of him. He wants to reclaim his identity by cleansing.
Being the original. Yep.
Right. Getting rid of all of them. So he's hunting him down. Now, during this time that he's hunting down and killing clones, to anyone on the outside, you're just going to think, oh, some assassin's running around just murdering people, like left, right, and center. And now, of course, we brought in Interpol. I think this was a good group to bring in. It didn't bring just the local police or whatever, because Interpol is like worldwide when you watch it, right? It's international police force kind of thing. So they go around, and one agent named Christine saw, Paul Kirk, the original, kill off a clone. But since there was distance between the two of them, she didn't really see his face.
Right.
She just ran up and saw the dead clone and was like, this man has been turning around and killing off people. I got to stop this, mass murder. So it starts chasing after him. So at this point in his stories, brought back to life, retrained as a ninja, healing factor, the whole 9 yards, finds out about clones. So he's fighting the council. They're hunting him down. He's trying to defend everyone else, but he's being chased by Interpol. So not does he have one organization after him, he has two prominent organizations after them. And he's trying to save himself, save people, and bring them down at the same time. He went from, oh yeah, I'm retired, to I'm back, baby. Hold my beer.
Facts.
Right? Which brings him into a lot of conflict. And this is what gives it that whole worldwide international espionage appeal to his storylines, how Walt drew them, how it was written by Archie. It was it was like 6 issues or 8 issues altogether.
Right.
So good. Like, I didn't have enough of this character. So this is where it came into, and near the end, he finally turns around. He's able to prove to Christine, is like, hey, the reason I'm killing clones of myself. We all look the same. He brought her proof. She saw what was going on. The true intentions of the council come up, that they weren't really all that honorable. They didn't want to save the world. They wanted to take it over.
What are we going to do tomorrow, Brain? The ways we do every night, Pinky. Big plans to take over the world. Yes.
Right.
AKA the council.
Exactly. So this goes back to what he's done. Now, at the end of his story run, he's hunting down a lot of the clones. He goes in there. He's able to detonate a bomb in the council's headquarters, kills off everybody, including himself. But then you realize after, he didn't get all the clones. Bum, bum, bum. Now, if we go back to his original things when he was brought in before he died, so Paul Kirk, we'll say Archie and Walt version of it. Okay. We'll go, let's say Jack Kirby. So let's say Jack Kirby's version. He was brought in by the Council of the Manhunters. He did meet one of the sect from them, and he kind of got an introduction to them, and then kind of separated. Then he had his own run, where the one we're talking about today, the second version, which was Archie's and Walt's Manhunter, never really interacted much with the Manhunters. Now, at parallel to this, I'm going to put a pin in this, and I'm just going to mention the original Manhunters were the police force of the Guardians of Oa. Oh,
indeed.
Right? So if you're wondering, if you're not sure, if you're just a casual fan or you're not sure, these are the people that are behind the Green Lantern Corps. They're the little blue aliens that form the Green Lantern Corps as a police force for the universe. Right. And the reason they follow the Green Lantern Corps is because at first they had Manhunters, which were just androids that they made to do this role. They say, well, they're androids, they won't get tired, and they have their motto where no one escapes the Manhunters, because they hunt down anyone that does a crime. Right. Now, of course, the Manhunters took that a little bit extreme. So it wasn't the fact that, you went and killed somebody, the Manhunters are going to come and get you. And the Manhunters had a very similar look that Paul Kirk had originally when Jack Kirby started drawing him, right? So they were on the red and blue. They had a silver mask. They had batons. They were able to, they're androids, right? They were able to fly, go through space, patrol. and they're almost like a hive mind. Where they went, as I said, they went a little bit too far, where no evil escapes the Manhunter. So they would hunt down people and kill people. Okay, if you kill somebody, they would kill you. All right. They try to keep the balance that way. If you jaywalked, that was evil. You were done. If you parked in a handicapped spot and you're not handicapped, you were done.
The law. Is it against the law? Yes, it is. You committed a crime.
Right.
That's it.
All you people on the 401, y'all, if the Manhunters existed, you wouldn't be here, because, and what I mean by that is the speed limit says 100 kilometers. And if you do 101, you're breaking the law. Now, a lot of us on the 401 are doing about 120. So let's not lie. If you went out in LA, you can't speed in LA because the traffic's so bad. You can walk faster than you can drive. So our boy Derwin knows that, right? Shout out to Derwin. Got to bring him on the show. Yeah. I got a special thing to get him on the show in the future. Okay. So that anything, you do something wrong, their methods are very extreme, and then the Guardians all realize, like, this is not good. This is not what we wanted. We didn't want a dictatorship. We wanted a police force. Right. So they tried to stop them. There was a rebellion. The Manhunters fought the Guardians all. Most of them were destroyed. Some of them went into hiding. Right. Mm-hmm. It was like the Guardians all pulled we're not going to take this Order 66 business. Try us.
Nice. Everybody scatter.
Well, yeah. So some of them came down to Earth, and one came to Earth and started hiding out and started to still use, because the androids weren't like dumb. They were smart, and they would be forward thinking. They just wouldn't just take orders and follow through like robots. So when one of them came to Earth, hiding out, said, "Hey, I'm going to start and integrate with the humans." So hid out in the Himalayas, started a cult, so to speak, about the Manhunters, and preaching the goodness of it by hiding his true intentions, got people to join.
Right.
This show's not political, but clearly, if you have someone with a cause, a lot of time you'll find someone to join that cause. That's all I got to say. Good or bad, I don't care where you fall on the spectrum. Everyone believes in something.
Yep.
You have one person that pitches it well, they'll follow. So this is what happened. They started following. And he and now we're getting back to Paul Kirk. Paul Kirk realized, the Manhunters, what was going on, who was part of this group, the Order. The Order was an offshoot of the Manhunters, the original Manhunter, because they were dealing with the android. This is where they got some of their advanced technology from. This is where they brought people in. So they had people that were politicians and people that were, CEOs and leaders of industry business. So they got the higher ups, the cream of the crop, to join their group, so to speak. And then they had, of course, your foot soldiers. So he was bringing down that whole organization. So when he crushed the council, he didn't stop the Manhunters. He didn't stop the Manhunter movement on Earth. Mm-hmm. Some clones still existed. So what they say loosely, and if you want to put it together, it might be a little bit sloppy, but it's still kind of cool that one of his clones said, "Yeah, we get what the original was doing. I'm going to carry on his work." Mm-hmm. And another one of the clones said, "I get what the original was doing, but I'm more down with the council. I'm going to carry on their work." Yin and yang.
At that point.
Right. But they didn't talk to each other. It's just,
Just did it.
They just did it, right? Like, they're in different parts and they had different ideologies. So the one that carried on Paul Kirk's work still put on that red and blue and white costume. Mm-hmm. And you can read some of their adventures in his adventures in the Secret Society of Supervillains, where he joined that group, with all the villains, trying to always thwart the DC villains under DC. Was it Flashman? The guy's name's Flashman. You find out, he had his own identity. But the reason that Manhunter worked for him, he tried to carry on like he was a villain, but he was really a good guy infiltrating the group, and he was kind of guiding it towards a certain way. And he turned around and used that group to fight Darkseid. So they had their own run. And when Darkseid came in from Apocalypse, he's like, "We gotta fight him." It's like, I know we're villains, but if he takes over the Earth, what are you guys gonna take over? Oh crap! So you got like Angleman, and you got Gorilla Gord, and you got Reverse Flash, who are all part of the team, and they're like, "Oh well, let's fight him." And sure enough,
the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and there we go.
Yeah, that's it. The enemy of my enemy, right? So they got into a fight. Near the end, they were able to push back Darkseid. Darkseid's going through a boom tube, and Paul Kirk jumps through there with another bomb. Boom! Trying to kill off Darkseid. So he sacrificed himself. We all know.
We might have just said it earlier.
No. So when a man fights a bull elephant,
there's nothing left. Darkseid is the epitome of a bull elephant. He's a bull elephant's father. He's the Grand Wizard. He's the chief.
So Darkseid's still here with us. That particular Paul Kirk is not.
Just to show you what the ratios of what happened on that point. 100% Darkseid, 0 Kirk. Yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah. So that was that version of it. Then the other version of Paul Kirk turned around and he started a cult. He got with that alien and he started continuing, well, not a cult, a sect, right? Mm-hmm. And still continue that mindset of getting popular people in there, people of power in there underneath him, carrying on the whole Manhunter credo from the council point of view, and worked. And they brought in another Manhunter. So this brings in the next Manhunter, which is, and I know there's more than that after this, but we're only going to this part, and because the story is really intertwined, and brought in Mark Shaw. So Mark Shaw's uncle was part of the Manhunters, and they had their, secret society, and they had a little medallion like a lion that they would use to magically communicate to their head guy. And Mark at the time was kind of disillusioned. He was a lawyer. He was fed up of seeing criminals get away with stuff. He thought the legal system was not as strong as it should have been. And his uncles recruited him to, hey, you should join this group. It'll help out make people better. And he's like, okay, what is it called? And he's like, oh, it's the Manhunters. It's like, oh, right. And he was kind of, okay. And he went with his uncle. And he ended up joining them. He put on the classic costume. Mm-hmm. He joined them. He went out there on a couple of missions. And then he realized, like, wait a minute. You guys aren't trying to make things better. You guys are just trying to take off people, kill people off. So Mark Shaw, as the Manhunter, had a different costume. He changed his costume up, gave it a different look altogether. He went and he helped out a lot in his story arc. Really stands out in the 3-issue miniseries Invasion by DC Comics. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Judas Directive, which was a crossover where all the secret agencies within DC were fighting each other because they were betrayed. With Sarge Steele, Amanda Waller. So that's like, you're getting like Checkmate. You're getting Suicide Squad. You're getting, or also known as Task Force X. You're getting all these other secret agencies that operate within DC, non-superhero or non-superpowered, should say, generally speaking. Mm-hmm. And he was a key person in that fight, trying to get things straight. And he had his own villain that he had to fight, which was a Dumas, which is a kind of a shapeshifter kind of person. Yeah. And he wore the Florida leaf on his costume, and that was his person that he fought. So he had his own series that ran, I think, like 24 issues or something like that. It could be a little bit more. And Mark Shaw went from that. He was more of a womanizer and tried to work as a private, almost like a private, like a hero for hire, I should say. Right. And he had a very similar costume. He got by, and I like that run. But during that run, you realize a couple of things. That near the end of that run, he goes back and he realizes what's happening with the Manhunters. He's realizing, okay, the Manhunters are kind of coming back. He goes back to the Himalayas. He sees the android fights him. Then he sees why they use a lion, because you have this alien who's there in the Himalayas, who's like a humanoid version of a lion. He's got the lion head, the body. It's like very, humanoid with like, bionics on it. And the lion says, hey, you know what? Thank you for rescuing and fighting this robot who was keeping me oppressed. I'm now free. By the way, as a Manhunter, I want you to be my agent here on Earth. Here's a new battle staff, a new baton, which had very similar powers to a Green Lantern ring. And Mark Shaw used it for a mission, or his last story arc before they wrapped it up. And he says, yeah, I can't keep this. This is too powerful for me to have. Mm-hmm. Now, the whole Mark Shaw part, you find out that Mark was brainwashed when he was brought in originally. And he even didn't know that he was brainwashed. You find out that the main villain he was fighting, Dumas, was a shapeshifter. And you find out later on that was Mark. Like, Mark was his own villain. Like, he had a split personality. And he goes on to a whole different story arc. And we will maybe cover, if you want to know more, we'll cover that in the second part on just really focusing on Mark. But the person that recruited Mark and the person that recruited his uncle was a clone of Paul Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
The beat goes on.
The beat goes on.
Yeah, man. And the only part after that was when the original sacrificed himself to stop the council. The Interpol agent Christine, the ninja master Asono Nitobi said, we can't let his legacy die. He has to go on. And we are going to go through, continuing his fight to chase down the other Manhunters. So that was, Paul Kirk clone Darkseid, right? Okay, he's gone. The other one from the starting from the new Mark Shaw one, he was killed off.
Right.
And then, but there's still more clones out there. And then one last clone that we talk about is he changed his name. He switched it backwards. So instead of going by Paul Kirk, he went by Kirk DePaul. And he joined, and his costume was black and white, but same look. And he joined a DC group called Power. But I think it was Power. And he joined that group. And he was around for a while. His character was still interesting. I liked it, right? With his personality and how he intertwined with that group. I think it was really a fun, cool. But then he brought back Christine and of course Asono to say, wait a minute, which version of the spectrum of Paul do you fall on, right? And that was story. So sorry, I know I've done a lot of talking. Rod, what do you got to say, man?
No, listen. Definitely loving how the story is intertwining with so many different characters and so many different DC alumni, from Oa to the Green Lantern Corps. Basically now connecting back to the second one, to Mark Shaw and everything like that. You can tell by this storyline that this character has an arc. He has some deep roots, and it's not like a one-off. He's definitely basically the best way of looking at it. Being brought in by Jack Kirby. Thank you for that. Rest in peace. Thank you for that, for bringing this character in. But also thank you to Archie and Walt to give him a second life in the 70s, and basically able to give him now, they intertwine into different characters going along and going forward. I would definitely say that the Paul Kirk, Mark Shaw could definitely be expanded more, and definitely wanted to hear more about that. But definitely in regards to the second half, in regard to Mark Shaw, and then basically indirectly continuing the legacy. He was basically, like you said, his father. He said, look, you should join this set of group of people that get you, because you're such a focused individual, in your particular craft. You can hone your skills even better if you go here. So that's a great storyline that it's basically untouched and can definitely be fostered in more. And like Barry's saying, if anything, we'll definitely come back with the Mark Shaw version, the edition of Manhunter. But definitely Paul Kirk is the character that we're talking about right now. But he has given more than enough.
Oh my gosh!
More than enough story, more than enough intertwining, intriguement is the best word I could say for anybody to continue and start watching this. So basically, all we're saying is that when you guys get a chance, listen, go and check out your local comics, check back into it, and look into finding Manhunter. Now, again, you're going to come across there's some other issues as well, but if you look back at the ones from 1974, you can start from there. At least that part will definitely get you into the Paul Kirk, rendition, and then you definitely go from there.
Yeah, and his legacy. And I know we haven't talked about, I know there's more. So just like
right. That's what I'm saying. There's more. Yeah.
There's more. I mean, let's go this way. So we have Paul Kirk. We've got Kate Spencer.
Mark Shaw.
Kate Spencer. And Mark Shaw's run is still around. Like right now, he's gone out full out villain. So he's going by the name of Leviathan with his own organization. And he had to fight the League of Shadows with Ra's al Ghul. So there's a lot more to it, and he's a great gateway, and he's even teamed up with a lot of characters, including Batman. So not only did he show up in the Batman issues, him and Batman did team up, the original, to deal with the council at one point. So we've talked a lot. There's a lot going on. I I'm a real fan for this character. So that being said, it's time to do what we do. Rod, if you had to cast some of these characters, who do you Paul Kirk, Paul Kirk, Kirk the Paul, who is your man?
Listen, for me, seeing that how he is, you know me, everyone who watches, you know how I go with the characteristics, like we all do, but I go with the characteristics, I go with what I pull from this character. What I pull from Paul is that he's athletic, he's a guy who does what he has to do for the greater good, but he's not going against his boundaries of, you know, his ethics in that regard.
Right.
I chose, because of this particular actor, he's done a couple of stuff, and definitely one of the latest stuff projects that he put out definitely made me think of him. Ryan Gosling. So I will go with Ryan Gosling. Now, again, we know him from, you know, if you're looking at that Sergeant Jerry Woodard, like, you know, Gangster Squad, you know, he does some stuff, you know, but the main thing I want to really saying is the Gray Man. The Gray Man, to me, his last project that he did,
right,
that basically just kind of opened up doors, because not only did, you know, you know what? Let's go back. Let me make sure I'm gonna hit this guy with the right answer. I should say is, you know, it's all the Gray. You know what? It's all about the Gray. You know, Ryan also did Running. Oh my God, did he do the Running? No, he didn't.
Blade Runner.
The Blade Runner, yeah, he did.
Yeah, the new Blade Runner. The last Blade Runner.
He did the last Blade Runner. So that's where is it. But my head is thinking on the Gray Matter, because if you see him in the fighting techniques and the action that he did with Chris Evans, I don't know if you got a chance to see that.
Yeah,
it's
good call, man.
It's very intriguing, and just basically giving me the chills, thinking like he can carry out any of the action scenes. He can carry out the visuals and the intensity of being a spy type of character. So, you know, he can be very intriguing, be very convincing when he needs to, when he's talking to people to get information and whatever the case be, but still have that look that he can stand on top of a building like bats and give you that looking like, hold my bear. I'll be right back. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Ryan Gosling as my choice for Paul Kirk.
Okay. I like that. I really do like that. That was, you caught me off guard all night. Hey, he's like, he's coming off from left field. Oh, okay. You got me good. Right. So, and here's my other question for you. How would you see this done? Would you like to see this as a movie, a TV series, animated series, a streaming series, right? Be it if it's like Netflix or HBO or whoever. Like, how do you envision that with Ryan? I know Ryan, so that's my question.
Yeah, I would go with a movie. Now it's debating if I want a movie, if I want a series, because it's a live action. I definitely want a live action with this one.
Right.
He has a lot of story, and this is where, can we truncate his storyline in a movie? You know me, everybody. I always talk about the 3 type movies. You can go in 3 movies, but that might not be enough for him to get a good story arc on him being cloned, and him dying. Let's start with the obvious, being who he was in original part of his life, then dying. Again, him and the bull elephant, and yeah, not to sound bad, Ryan, if you're watching this, I apologize and I say it in advance. Yeah, I'd like to see you go battle against a bull a bull elephant. I know you ain't gonna win, bro, because as per the script, you don't win. But I'm happy that we brought you back. Yes, I want to see you come. I want to see you just like say, "Son of a," and you just start twisted over here as the elephant tramples you over. But then next scene, you see the light fade out, and then all you see the same thing like I just had a quick glance of RoboCop when you just everybody coming to his face like, "Is he okay?"
Yeah.
The bubbles like Wolverine. Wolverine is in his tank, whatever. He's like phased out. Phase in and phase out. And as I say, we've been hitting you subliminally with all this information and just keeping you up to date. So you know, yeah. So he comes out, what the hell happened to me? Yes, I want to have I want the first line of this man walking out of the tank coming from Ryan's lips. I want Ryan to be saying, "What the? Like, what did you? Right there? Take my money. Take my money."
Okay.
Ryan coming out of stasis pod. I was like all drenched up in water. I was like, what the? I just remember seeing gray heels in my eye. That's the last I remember.
Gray heels?
Where am I now? Am I wet in my own blood? No, this looking kind of translucent like water. Where am I? Thank you. I can go on and talk about that, but that'll be that section right there. That act, that's the part I want to see.
That's the part you want to see. Okay, okay.
End of Act 1 into Act 2. When this guy comes out, what the? So with that, let's go back to your statement. Yes, it has to be a series. So give me a Netflix, give me a series, give me at least, and maybe 3 seasons. But you're giving me 3 seasons where you got enough story to pull it out. Give me a series and a half to get through what we know.
Yes.
And give me the rest of that series of season 2.
Yes.
And another series and another season to have fun with it. Because by that time, you guys can write out so much stuff. So that's what I expect.
Okay. I'm with you. So I went deep on this because this is for me. It's up there with Guyver and Gatchaman and right. Okay. So we realize how this is about to go down. Glasses are off. So I went and I was a little bit overzealous. And if you got other people you want to throw in there, you can let me know. So I will make this for my fan casting. I think this guy has the look of it. He's got the jawline. He's done other projects before, and I really want him to sink his teeth in, not just as an actor, but more as an action star. He wants to do it. He's done action before, and I enjoyed his movies. So for Paul Kirk and all his clones, I want it to be.
Oh yeah. Even about the clone part. That's another part. Sorry.
Right. So yes, I agree with you. It's got to be a series. I want to be a streaming series. A TV series was going to water it down too much. Give me a streaming series. HBO, come on, you got your stuff. Use it. I'm going with Aaron Eckhart. Right?
Oh, wait a minute. Woo!
Thank you. So anyone listening, Aaron Eckhart, he played Two-Face in the Dark Knight trilogy with Christian Bale.
Yep.
Right? He was Harvey Dent. He was also in another movie called I, Frankenstein, where it's like Frankenstein and it wakes up present day and he's Frankenstein's monster and he's hunting down like other monsters. So Aaron Eckhart, that's who I want as my big game hunter, Paul Kirk to Paul. Let's go. Right?
Okay.
That's one. Now I said I was overzealous. When it came to Christine, the Interpol agent, who's in there, and she's not a love interest. This is what I like about it. She's not a love interest. She's not the damsel in distress. She is an important person on the team. So this here, I like this actress, and I would love to see her on screen with Aaron in that role, how it works out, right? Where she's trying to hunt him down, then she ends up teaming up with him, right? So I'm going with Christina Hendricks. She was at TV show Mad Men. You know, she's done smaller roles on, was it Good Wives? It just recently got canceled. She's had other roles, but Christina Hendricks, yes.
Okay.
Right? So that's 2. When this series is going, everyone's always going to want to know, okay, you got the robots, they can be CG'd, the Manhunters can be CG'd, or they can brought in a costume, but it doesn't have to be CG, but brought in a costume and do that whole aspect. But at one point, you have to bring in Mark Shaw as that carry-on character. And of course, you can bring back the original, Aaron Eckhart can come back as Paul Kirk or Kirk to Paul, and he can deal with Mark Shaw at some points. And here's an actor that went out differently. So this actor who I'm going to call out to play Mark Shaw usually does a lot of comedies. He's done some serious roles, but in his own personal life, he's had to deal with addiction, overcoming that, and he's using that. And I don't think Hollywood's giving him enough of a credit. They like him as the fun, goofy guy, and sometimes he plays a dick in the movies, and that's what he's known best for. But you give him a Mark Shaw tortured kind of womanizing character, so he's good, he's bad at the same time. He almost plays a villain, so heel turn, as I like to say. Give me Sean William Scott, Stifler from American Pie.
Wow.
Dude, Where's My Car?
Right.
With Ashton Kutcher. You give me, the rundown with The Rock. Give me Sean William Scott to play Mark Shaw. First of all, this guy loves to work out, so he's always in shape. he seems like Mark Shaw. When his hair is long and you look at Mark Shaw, you're like, okay, I can see him doing it, So that's where I went. And then let me pull up my other note here, right? Which is dealing with the ninja master. Japanese ninja master is Asono Nitobi. And I had to go deep for this character, and I wanted to do him right. And let me see. Yes, okay. I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize to you all, and including the actor himself. But here we go. Hiroko Sanada. I think I said it right. You're going to go, who the heck is Hiroko Sanada, Barry? He's best known, and he played in The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. He was his main co-star that when he, showed Tom Cruise how to be a samurai in that movie. That's the most, prominent role that I can come to with that. So if you look up The Last Samurai, he was that samurai that taught Tom Cruise's character in the movie.
Hiroko Sanada?
Yes. He would be my ninja master. He would be the character that's still carrying on.
Yeah.
Right? And don't get it wrong.
He's done enough stuff.
Yeah.
For anybody else, he's also, okay, so for one, he's in Wolverine.
Yep.
He was in Wolverine as, a father. Kyoko's father.
Yes.
Also in Mortal Kombat, he was Scorpion.
Yep.
So yeah.
So
you'll recognize when you see his face, you'll be like, "Oh, I know who you are."
Yeah. So that's my rundown right there. Aaron Eckhart, Christine Hendricks, Sean William Scott, and Hiroko. Yes. Those are my main people that I would love to see. Christina Hendricks, that's right. Main people that I would like to see in the role of the Paul Kirk universe of Manhunter.
Okay.
Right on. And I think each of them would bring something. Like, Aaron, he would get that lead role. He would come back. Christina playing an Interpol agent. A lot of people look at her and she's a phenomenal actress, but of course the fact that they look at her and they see her and they like, oh, like she's easy on the eyes, but they almost overshadow at times the ability that she has in the actress. Right. And come on, I would love to see her in more of an action role. Like, she's done the drama, she's done the comedy, she's done the, all that. I want to see her in a full action movie. For sure, and play an Interpol agent. Absolutely. And she's not the damsel in distress, or she's not the love interest. She's just straight out there as a character. This is what I liked. This pings off a lot of things for me. Sean William Scott as Mark Shaw. Yeah, that pings off a lot of things for me. Sonoda pings off a lot of things for me. I think you put those four together, got a movie. Sorry, got a series. That's my series right there for Manhunter. Not talking Kate Spencer. And I mean, keep in mind, these characters do show up. I mean, Kate Spencer did show up on one of these TV shows. I can't remember, it was CW and all that. Or no, Power. It was Power. She played Kate Spencer, but she never got into a costume of Manhunter. They just said, oh, the way she goes after people in the courtroom is like she's a Manhunter. That's all they did. If you want to see more of the Manhunters, they show up in the Green Lantern video game that came out on Xbox years ago. And you do end up fighting the Manhunters throughout the video game. They're the villains. If you watch the TV show of the cartoon, Shadow of the Bat, the 3D animated cartoon with, of course, Batman that came out 2 seasons, there is a whole episode on Manhunter where they bring in Paul Kirk when he's still fighting his clones, but in not the version 2 of his costume, but version 1 of his costume. And he teams up with Batman. So that brought back some good vibes where you see that character. So for anyone watching and listening, that's where you got to go and watch. That's the games you got to play. Then the books you got to read. Find it, as we said, support the books. Any last words, Rod?
You know what? Listen, I like what we got. I like what we brought, man. I hope that everyone is listening, that you guys took in some good information and, was able to just feel yourself more connected with this characters, because we talked about a good amount of them. But the Manhunter himself, this is something that can definitely work. We do say this sometimes at the end of our shows or towards the end of our shows, but this is a character. You know what? The main thing is we always like to bring characters to you that we know that you guys will like, and that Noah has a good fighting chance to actually make it out. And if we're able to get a cast, if it's ever to come to light, and someone take it and produce it. So I would definitely say the Manhunter. It's a character that people are unknown. It's unknown to people, but bringing it out, like I'm saying, all right now, this is the time. This is the era. This is not saying the golden era. This is not the golden age. This is the time to do these type of characters, to bring comic characters to life and breathing life into them. Manhunter will do so well. Given the chance, you have the opportunity to basically break it out and extend it into different universes. I will just say, even for myself, it makes me think of, you got the opportunity of doing this, like the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Yes.
How dark that was. Yes, this dark, just like the Dark Knight, with Christian, version of it.
Yeah.
But I can see, when you see the way the scale of the movie showing Gotham and in its entirety, how big and how vast it is. Yeah, you can have a character like this who's also working in the trenches there as well, and then basically coming to light. So yeah, if I'm seeing the Batman, that movie, the latest rendition that they brought out, Manhunter could actually work in that world as well. And have that darkness, and it just basically shows the intrigue and the spy espionage type of aptitude that can come towards it. Basically, be giving you the ability to now dig deeper. And again, these characters is 40, 50 years old in that give or take or so, but we can modernize that right now, and it will work in so smoothly.
It will translate.
It will translate. It won't be a hard transition not to do. So for me, this all I can say is, let's do Manhunter. Let's do it.
Great.
HBO.
We're looking at you.
Let's do it.
Right on. So I'll wrap this up and make it real quick here. Bottom line is, you heard us talk about it. I hope you liked it, enjoyed it. Manhunter, bottom line is, Manhunter could be the gateway to a different aspect of the DC universe that we've not seen in a live action treatment. Meaning, it gives you the chance to bring over Batman and let Manhunter team up. Okay. It gives you the chance to bring in the Green Lantern Corps and deal with some of their lore. Okay. It gives you a chance to deal with the league of, the supervillains, right? Okay. So bring in even supervillains. And it finally brings in the espionage aspect within the DC universe. We have it in Marvel with S.H.I.E.L.D. and the agencies they have to fight. So like AIM and Hydra and so forth. Now, we don't really have that much with DC outside of Suicide Squad, Task Force X. He does show up in Task Force X. Mark Shaw. So yeah. We'll talk about maybe Mark Shaw, maybe definitely separately. But Paul Kirk Manhunter is the gateway to a lot of the DC universe from a different aspect that we've never seen before. That gets us away from the capes and cowls for a bit, a little bit different flavor. And sometimes you got to have a little bit of a different flavor, but still within the same bowl to keep it spicy. So on that note, I'm Barry 3D, as always, with who?
Rod C. Let's go.
Right on. This has been I'm losing my words. This has been the Iconist podcast, and the icon is today, as we said before, Paul Kirk, Manhunter. This whole world literally started with a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming.
Let's do it.
Let's go. We need more clones.
A lot of paperwork, but we can figure something. We can figure it out.
Right on, right on.
As long as they don't turn on us, we're good. Right. Okay, scratch that.
Bye, everyone.